Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the 2-Point Conversion with Fish and Nooch. It's your boy Fish. You know you can find us over at www.gamedaytigers.com. The boot, the ugliest trophy in all of sports, remains in Baton Rouge for another year. Nooch and I are under the impression that they store this trophy in a closet somewhere on campus. We don't know where. That's an ugly trophy, but it's our damn ugly trophy, and we're going to keep it for another year, y'all. LSU defeated Arkansas 34-31. I told you, that 18-point spread was insanity. This is LSU Arkansas. Nooch and I are going to discuss the game. We're going to review it. We're going to preview the game we got coming up. Go to hell, Ole Miss. You know what it is. It's Ole Miss Hate Week. Y'all help me welcome in my buddy from down the bayou down in Montague, Louisiana. Right now, he's stuck over in West Texas. Y'all help me welcome in Nooch. What's happening, Nooch?
We won.
You play to win the game.
Play to win the game.
Yeah, I talked about it in the lead up. We won that ugly trophy and we put it in a closet somewhere. Were you surprised it was a close game?
No, not really. How often is the Arkansas game a blowout? I mean, not very often.
We talked about it last week. It was an 18-point spread, and I said, that seems a little crazy to me.
Yeah, it is. And I don't care how often CBS or ESPN or anyone tries to turn this into a rivalry game. You know, a rivalry has to be both ways, and even the announcers mentioned it. LSU doesn't view this game as one, and Arkansas does. It's going to always be closer than what it should be because for LSU, this is just another game. For Arkansas, it's their Super Bowl, and we just took their best shot, and we still beat them, which is how it should be.
Well, let's start with the offense. I talked about last week, the offense has not been starting slow. Even in the game we lost, I mentioned the offense started fast.
Yeah.
Well, a little different this week.
Yeah, kind of struggle early. Let's just call it a hiccup. What it is, Jaden Daniels did not look comfortable early. Why? I don't know. He did not look like himself.
He was off. I mean, you played sports before. You ever had an off night?
It's more often than I had on nights, which is why I just do podcasts instead of playing sports for a living.
But you've had on nights in beer league softball, I'm sure. But sometimes you have an off night. And
yeah, you just do.
He started off having an off night. The difference is last year we saw that a couple of times, and because we played Arkansas, I'll harken back to last year's Arkansas game. He was off, and he was off the whole game.
Yes.
And there was a couple of games like that last year, Texas A&M game.
One of the things I read, I don't know how true it is, but supposedly Kelly told him he needs to speed up, and maybe that's where he needs to be. He needs to be at a higher pace, a faster pace of things, and games like this where it wasn't a pretty game, it wasn't sloppy, it just wasn't pretty. That's not his thing. Maybe he needs the pressure of a high speed go, 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 go.
Well, let's look at it objectively. So the first, I believe, 3 series, we struggled. And then we fall behind 13-3. And LSU gets the ball and scores in 3 plays to end the half. 79-yard drive in 3 plays, touchdown pass to Brian Thomas Jr., who we're going to talk about. They get the kickoff to start the second half. 3-play drive, touchdown to Brian Thomas Jr.
49 yards.
Both of them were 49-yard touchdown passes. The second one was a little interesting and exciting.
It was a horrible throw, but
the first one was not, but that one was. There was an offside penalty. They had a free shot, and they took it, and it was an ugly pass, and he came back and got it, deflected it up in the air, caught it, juked some dude out of shorts. I think it was Nudie that he did that to, and then scored the touchdown.
I would still, even with that being said, I would love to have him on the roster this year.
Oh, yeah. That boy, I tell you what, in Jaden's slow start, that included an interception by Nudie McLaughlin, former LSU cornerback who Nooch and I both love.
Spoke highly of him when he was here.
He baited Jaden Daniels so hard.
Yeah, he
so
did.
bad. He acted like he was in man, but he was in zone. He came off the zone right as Jaden was releasing the ball and picked it off in front of Mason Taylor. Great play by him. Luckily, it didn't hurt us. Arkansas threw an interception on the next play.
Very next play.
Twice that's happened where we've had turnovers and we turn around and got it on the next play.
about the only good thing I can say about the defense so far this year, but we'll get to that later.
I think you're painting with a broad brush. Their defense was damn good against Mississippi State. And I know Mississippi State's not good, but they're better than Grambling. We'll get to the defense, though. So, talked about Brian Thomas Jr. already. Two touchdown catches. Both of them were 49-yarders. He finished well over 100 yards receiving. And, in the beginning of the year, you and I did the preseason podcast where we picked our offensive and defensive breakout players.
Uh-huh.
And to be honest with you, I don't remember who you picked.
I'm trying to remember who. I picked John Emery on offense.
Okay, and I picked Kyron Lacey. We suck at this.
Yeah, we do. I'm going to say this, though, at least in my defense, and it's a very, very weak defense. I'll at least say that. Brian Thomas Jr. already has more yards and as many touchdowns as he did last year. I would have guessed wrong because I would have thought he put up better numbers last year than he did. So I'm considering Brian Thomas Jr. like, well, yeah, that's what we expect. So when we say he's the breakout player, it's because, I don't know, I just thought he was better than last year statistically than what he was. Yeah, I was shocked to learn that he's already got more yards this year than he did last year.
Well, we had Malik Kayshawn Butte, and Brian Thomas Jr. was the third option. This year, he's the second option. He's having the breakout year. And when I was thinking about it, it was between him and Kyron Lacey, and I chose Kyron Lacey, and I chose poorly.
Yeah, and, well, I'm going to defend myself by saying that I honestly thought Brian Thomas was better last year than what he actually was statistically. So that's why I didn't mention him, and I went John Emery, who is not the breakout guy of the year so far.
No. But yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. is showing to be, explosive. I did not realize how twitchy and fast that he is. I didn't realize it. He's displayed that in the last couple of weeks, both the speed and the twitchiness. He just jukes guys right out of their shorts.
Both matter. The jukes were great, but really and truly what shocked me was the top end speed, that over the top speed. I really truly didn't know he had that. He's a big guy and he makes some big plays, but to be able to just outrun guys for an over the top pass, that's a few weeks in a row now that he keeps doing this.
Brian Thomas Jr., to me, he took the honors this week. Malik had a good game as well, but he was the offensive player of the game this week. Jaden Daniels was the SEC co-offensive player of the week for the second week in a row.
Hey, he threw another pretty fade, so maybe he's learning how to throw that.
Well, clearly that was to Malik. He threw 2 touchdowns to Malik and 2 to Brian Thomas Jr. Jaden finished 20 of 29 for 320, 4 touchdowns, and of course the 1 interception we mentioned. He picked up 36 yards on the ground, which drives Nooch crazy.
Not that he picked those up, and I'm not going to say drives me crazy. I just think his number of carries needs to be dialed back a little bit.
And my take on that is, I would imagine, just watching the game, and I have rewatched it, I would say half of his carries at least were not called runs for the quarterback. So
I get it. I haven't rewatched. When I look at total number of carries, I'm good with the number of total rushes that LSU has. I just think it needs to swing a little bit heavier towards the running back than or quarterback running it is all.
Where I'll agree with you is in the first half, we were in chat on Game Day Tigers, and I was screaming, run the ball, because he was off. And Logan Diggs is there. Caleb Jackson's there.
Yeah.
Josh Williams is there. Turn around and hand the ball off.
Yeah, absolutely. Diggs was what? He was right around 7 yards a pop. Previous coaches would have fed that dude. And, 14 carries isn't bad, but he should have been closer to 20, in my opinion.
Yeah, I won't disagree with you there. I think the other 6 should have come in the first half when Jaden was struggling. Once Jaden got it rolling at the end of the first half, he had some passes that even the announcers were saying, he underthrew that one a little bit. One of them hit Malik Neighbors in the face, and I watched it twice now. He didn't slow down for that to happen. He was interfered with, and it went uncalled. That's why he didn't get his hands up and catch that touchdown. But he did have a couple of underthrows. He's a college quarterback.
Here's where I'll comment on that. Yesterday, I actually watched some NFL for the first time in years. Actually watched and paid attention to it because, I was in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, and what the hell else are you going to do in the middle of nowhere, New Mexico, other than eat and watch football? NFL quarterbacks have the exact same issues with accuracy throwing the ball as Jaden Daniels does. So I'm not going to knock him. I think LSU fans' problems are they're holding him to the Joe Burrow standard. And that's just not realistic. I mean, we got to see it. It was a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and it was fucking amazing. But you're not going to see that again. I mean, he's missing passes in the exact same way that NFL guys are missing. He's underthrowing a deep ball, or he overthrows a guy by 4 or 5 yards. Guess what? Playing football is hard. That's why not everyone does it.
Well, look around on some message boards and look at the people dogging this dude.
Oh, no.
It's ludicrous. It's ludicrous to dog Mike Denbrock. I mean, you can sit here and say, you can nitpick anything. Say, we should run the ball more. Okay, I agree with you. We should have ran the ball more in the first half. I thought it was great in the second half because we scored on every drive.
Yeah.
Y'all want to complain about distribution of the ball or whatever? I see people asking, where's Kyron Lacey? Who cares?
I mean, look, I'll tell you now, and this mainly because we do a podcast, and yeah, I'll nitpick. I would like to have seen the distribution and running game different than it was. But the end result, we won the game.
Well, not only that, the only reason it was a game had nothing to do with the offense. Not even the slow start.
No, not at all. If you remember on a previous website that you and I were on, there was a blog, and I did my blog post on where do you put the but in a sentence. And if you go back to like the Rohan era, it was always, man, you know what? We turned the ball over, or we did this, or whatever, but we won. And then after that, sometime it went to, yeah, we won, but then you nitpick the game. And I mean, really and truly, we need to go back to the win is the important part. We won the game. Because come the end of the season, if the only loss we have is against Florida State, that pretty much means we're SEC champs and national champions. We won. It matters.
Yeah, I mean, that's a brilliant point. I had actually forgotten about that, but I remember it now. And yeah, you're right. Where do you put the but? That's what matters.
Look at what's happening in the rest of the SEC. That is not a given this year.
Look at what's happening in the rest of college football.
Yeah. Like it's, I don't know what the hell is going on. I honestly think right now, we stand a pretty good shot at getting a rematch with Florida State in the playoffs.
Possible.
Nobody else in the country is impressing me right now. I mean, nobody. Even Florida State just had a down game. Georgia's had down games. Alabama's definitely fucking beatable. Ole Miss is nothing special. Who out there really and truly, honestly, right now? Okay, Ohio State's probably in the driver's seat because them and Michigan won't play anyone else until the weekend after Thanksgiving. But other than them, who else is out there?
Ohio State just got extremely lucky to beat Notre Dame.
But they won. And who are they going to play the rest of the way?
Yeah, I mean, LSU, it doesn't have to be pretty. But LSU is one of, if not the best team in the SEC. Period. We're the only team in the SEC. I could be wrong on this. Check me on this. But I think we're the only team that's 2-0.
I think so.
LSU, last I checked, which was today, number 6 strength of schedule, and we played Grambling.
Oh, that's terrible.
But people say, oh, it's just Mississippi State, it's just Arkansas. Nobody else has played Mississippi State and Arkansas.
No.
And Florida State. Florida State is actually a team that has a higher strength of schedule than us, and that's because they played us and Clemson.
Us and Mississippi State are the only 2 SEC teams that have played 2 conference games so far.
Yeah, exactly.
If you look at it, we got the 2 teams that are considered trap games on most SEC schedules. They're in our rearview mirror now.
Yeah, I mean, Mississippi State looked pretty good this weekend.
Yeah, Mississippi State and Arkansas, that's the 2 quote-unquote trap games on our schedule. Because you expect Ole Miss to bring it. That's who we're coming up with next. You expect Florida. You expect Alabama, Auburn, even the fags in College Station. You expect all of them to bring it. So we got our trap games out of the way, and we won both of them. Just way bigger than what most LSU fans will admit. But, yeah, that's big. Been in the stadium and watched those 2 teams beat us before.
Well, most LSU fans are idiots, man. I mean, they really are. It's really depressing to even look at other forums.
I agree.
Right now, if you go to any other forum outside of Game Day Tigers, I don't see a lot of it there. Maybe one particular poster. But you go look at these other forums, and people are bitching about Jaden Daniels, Mike Denbrock. What happened to... I literally see this multiple times. I've seen this. Where's Trey Bradford? Who cares?
He's what, our fifth best running back?
I doubt it. But he started off the season. The first play of the season was a great play by him. First play of the season was a great play that I could have taken 58 yards. It was a great play call.
Yeah, I would have scored, just saying.
And another one, and I have heard you say this a couple of times, but I'm going to answer it tonight.
Yes.
Why do we fair catch punts all the time? Why don't they put Aaron Anderson back there? It's always something to bitch about with the offense, or in that case, the punt return or kickoff return game. Have y'all watched our defense? There is plenty to bitch about.
Oh, I agree, except the only thing I will say on the fair catch thing, now that I have seen Gregory Clayton actually return a couple, and I know he does not have polio, this dude is waving his hand the moment the ball leaves the punter's foot.
I'm glad you brought it up, because now I'm going to answer why. Have you seen our offense?
Yeah, they're actually not bad.
They're the best offense in the SEC and one of the best in the nation. Why would you risk anything when they're about to get the ball? Fair catch it, give the ball to Jaden Daniels, and go score touchdowns.
Okay, what if you can give the ball to Jaden Daniels with 20 fewer yards to get?
Oh, gee, then it might take him 4 plays.
I mean, I'm just saying, it's at least... Did you... I know you don't watch the NFL. Did you watch the Saints game Sunday?
No. I don't want... No.
Okay, their punt returner fielded a punt, made one guy miss, and then, holy shit, here's an open field. And he returned it all the way. These weird things happen when you return the football. And Gregory Clayton at this point now is catching the ball with a 15-yard cushion because he waved for a fair catch as soon as the ball left the punter's foot. A return kicks. And I'm telling you, there's a clock in your head. If that clock is going off immediately as soon as you hear the thump off the punter's foot, your clock is too quick. We need a guy back there who can make a play.
Why?
We've
tried it. We've tried Malik Neighbors. We tried Jack Besh last year. And then we tried somebody that can catch the damn ball. This year we tried Aaron Anderson, and then we tried somebody that can catch a damn ball. And right now, you give the ball to Jaden Daniels, and in 3 plays, you're in the end zone. So who cares?
I've watched Gregory Clayton catch a ball while falling down, reaching over his head.
One time.
Okay, but I'm saying he's going to catch it. I haven't watched him fumble it yet, and I've watched him return a couple. So here's a thought. Probably return kicks in high school, dude. There's a clock in your head. And call a fair catch when a fair catch needs to be called. But if you can get us 10 yards, 20 yards, holy shit, make a guy miss and get us 50 yards. Why can't you do that? Because it is a part of the game. It's the third phase that everybody overlooks, but special teams is a phase of the game.
Yeah, special teams is Ramos.
Get us an extra over the course of a game. Get us 60, 70 yards. Dude, that's fucking huge. Now all of a sudden you went from 400 total yards of offense to almost 500 yards of total offense. Now you went from 34 points in a game to possibly 42 or 49 points in a game.
No way. I mean, if you're talking about this game right here, or the one before, LSU
Not
scored.
One game specifically.
Okay, I just named three, including one that Greg Clayton did return a couple of punts. But outside of this game where the first 3 drives we didn't score, or maybe we just scored a field goal, other than that, we scored a touchdown every drive. Except for the last one of this game where we won the game with a field goal.
But maybe you're shaving a minute here, a minute there, another minute there. Now you got another possession because you just shaved 3 minutes off of the whole fucking game. Instead of you having to drive it, it's on that punt return.
I mean, this is a 2-point conversion, but I cannot believe you're that passionate about that.
I'm saying take a shot, dude. Take a chance. Look,
we just got the quarterback to start taking shots, and he's really good at it, and we don't need it.
But I'm saying, as a punt returner, and maybe I'm passionate because I did it. I can tell you right now, not one time in my entire life that counted did I carry the ball across the goal line. Twice it happened and got called back for penalties. But I never once had one that actually counted. But it fucking matters, dude. That could be a big part of the game.
Could be. You've said this. LSU has always had punt returners. I don't know that they always have, but they have had a lot of great punt returners. You know what? They needed them. We don't need it.
No? Did they really need him?
Yes. When Les Miles was here? Yes, absolutely. I mean, we've got the number one offense in the SEC. You've got a quarterback that's throwing for 300 yards a game every game, except for the one where he only played half, and he still threw for 270 or something in that one, and he only played a half. Why? Why would you risk it? Because every time we've tried in the last 2 years, it's been disaster.
Well, I've seen enough over all of last year and this year. I've seen enough to convince me that he's not going to muff it. He's going to catch the ball. So now, go with the clock that's in your head. Man, look, if you're looking up and you're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting, yep, call fair catch, because you're going to get fucking smoked if you don't. But if you're standing back there and that clock's not going off in your head, try to make the first guy miss, because typically if you make one miss, that's a good return. Might not be necessarily a touchdown, but that's 20, 30 yards. That's now 20, 30 yards you don't have to gain on offense.
You're taking 20, 30 yards away from Malik and Jaden. That's kind of a joke.
I know, but I get it. No, I get where you're coming from.
Last year I could have seen it because we weren't elite on offense. This year we are. Whether people want to admit it or not, we are.
That's fine. We can have that discussion.
Jaden Daniels is elite. Malik Neighbors is elite. I don't know why. Brian Thomas Jr. is elite. Let's talk about Logan Diggs. He's RB1.
Oh, absolutely. I've said that 2 weeks now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even close. This is more than I expected when we got him out of the transfer portal. He's running with vision that I haven't seen from anybody since Clyde.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Clyde's a good comp. I'm still going with Darius Geis as my comp.
Oh, yeah, I'm just saying Clyde's the most recent one we've had with that vision.
Yeah, and you know what? Logan's got that spin move like Clyde did too.
Yeah, he does. I'm still seeing more of a Tyrion Davis-Price style with him, but yeah, he's good.
Yeah, I can go with a TDP. That's not bad, and they wore the same jersey number, so that's a good one.
I wonder if that's why I see that. I wonder if it's a number 3.
You know, because I'm not going to lie, they're kind of similarly built. Like, I could easily see, had there not been that year or so gap in between, where you could kind of looks like the same fella.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm not going to say he's full on Darius Geis, because Geis was elite. Geis was elite. And you could take him out of the record books because of the bullshit, his off-the-field issues, which are a thing, but the on-the-field still happened. And that's kind of the vibe I get from Diggs, is what I got from Geis. Like, he's a guy who could take it, even if he doesn't take it all the way. You know he's getting you 6-7 yards a pop, 15 yards on this one, 30 yards on that one. He's a threat every time he touches it.
Well, and he's a 3-down back. That's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great blocking. But then you get Josh Williams coming in for 1 carry a game. I mean, I don't know if that's his average. But he bust off a 41-yarder. That's 2 weeks in a row where he's only had a carry or 2, but he busted a pretty big run. Do you think the defense assumes he's in there to block?
I don't know. Here's the thing about Josh Williams, and it's been this way his entire career. I think literally everyone other than you and me underestimates him. I mean, he's done nothing but perform since he's been here. He's showed out. He's leadership quality. You and me honestly both thought he was going to be 18 this year. And I don't know. He steps on the field and makes things happen. You know, no, he's not. Well, I was going to say no, he's not this superstar, but he's probably got 4 of the top 5 longest runs on the season this year. He's got the 41-yarder this past weekend. I think he had a 30-plus yarder against State.
There's really a 56-yarder when you tack on the horse collar. 56-yard play.
But he's that guy, and I don't know. You watch him, and there's nothing special about Josh Williams until you look at the tape and you watch, and it's like, well, damn, he had our longest carry. He had the most broken tackles. He had this. He had that, and he's not elite, but at the same time, he kind of is.
He doesn't do anything wrong.
No, he's to make this. Let's go old school, like your time frame basketball. He's Ricky Blanton.
Ricky Blanton is before me. Shut up.
Dude, that was your time frame. Shut the fuck up. He was there while you were there. But he's Ricky Blanton. Nothing he does is wrong. Nothing he does is amazing.
Let me ask you a question. Did Ricky Blanton play with Shaq, Stanley Roberts, and Chris Jackson all in the same year?
No, but he did play with Chris Jackson and Wayne Sims.
Okay, so let me tell you a little secret. My freshman year was Shaq and Stanley Roberts and Chris Jackson. So no, he wasn't there when I was there. Just want to clear that up.
But Ricky Blanton, nothing about watching it. You never once watched the game or tuned in to say, I got to watch Ricky Blanton. But at the end of the game, you tune in and Ricky Blanton had 30 points and 10 rebounds. Where did that come from? That's Josh Williams.
Well, Diggs is RB1. I'm going to go ahead and say Josh Williams RB2, Caleb Jackson RB3. I agree. If John Emery, the bottom line is he has made big plays for LSU, and they know he can. I actually heard that argument, somebody defending giving him the ball a couple of times. But the bottom line is, so can Josh Williams.
I'm done, and I picked John Emery as my breakout guy, but I'm done with him. This actually reminds me of the 2007 season. Me and my brother-in-law used to argue all the time. He was a big Keelan Williams fan. And you know what? You're right. Every time Keelan Williams touches the ball, he could break it for 70 and a touchdown. But he's probably going to break it for a 5-yard loss. Give me the Jacob Hester, the Charles Scott, who we're getting positive yards. Charles Scott, we'll just keep hitting you for 8 yards a game. 8 yards. No, Charles Scott wasn't a home run hitter. Keelan Williams was, but I don't need 46 strikeouts before the home run. John Emery, we're striking out a lot every time you touch the ball. Give me the guy who gets a double every time he steps in the box.
Yep, I agree. All right, so Mason Taylor was back from the ankle injury. He got 3 catches. Now I'm going to say something controversial.
Go ahead, dude. I love it when this goes on.
We talked about it last week. The offense just really opened up in his absence. And you and I both said maybe it was because he wasn't there. Not as a slight to him, but because Jaden didn't have that little safety net, and he let it rip.
Yeah.
Mason Taylor comes back. He only got 3 catches, but he was looked at a lot early. And, oh, by the way, Jaden struggled early.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's a distraction, and it's not at all his fault. I just think Daniels looks to him too much and should take more shots. Eventually he did, but early on to me it was noticeable.
Jaden Daniels seems to be that type who thrives on the pressure. And if Mason Taylor's there's no pressure, so he takes the dump.
And that's exactly what I mean. I'm glad you put it that way. It's not at all a slight to Mason Taylor. It's just that Mason Taylor is a safety net, and Jaden typically leans towards risk averse.
I don't even want to blame Jaden. I'm going to blame Denbrock on this, because that 2-point play that won the Alabama game, that's a perfect play for that 2-point conversion. Phenomenal play. 2nd and 8 against Arkansas, that's not a good play. Don't call it, but we call it. Why? I don't know. That play is designed to gain 2 yards.
I just don't know if we see...
We don't need 2 yards right now.
I don't know if we see things 100%. Was that the call, or was that part of that play? That was an option on that play where...
It was, but even still, even if you look at the option, you're snapping the ball from the 3. So at most, the farthest somebody could be is 13 yards away from you. That's it. So on 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, why are you running plays that are designed to gain you at most a handful of yards? Dude, have Mason Taylor be an option there. He should be your dump. He shouldn't be your main guy, and it just seems.
And that's what I'm saying. Do we know that he is the main guy on that play?
We don't know. I'm just gonna.
Or is that where Jaden's going?
I don't know, and
that's why I'm saying what I'm saying. I think he's a distraction, and I don't mean that at all to fault Mason Taylor. I think it's more of an indictment on Jaden Daniels, who is hard to fault right now.
Or is it an indictment on Denbrock?
The guy that's running the best offense in the SEC? I don't know.
Because here's the thing, and you look at not necessarily Game Day Tigers, but these other ones, they talk about your route trees. What we don't know, and I have no clue, who's read 1, who's read 2, who's read 3. I don't know. There's no way of knowing that watching a game. What I do know is the Mason Taylor option happens sometimes too often.
Yes.
Because, he's open, and you could totally throw it to him, and we can absolutely gain 2 yards. But if you had a little bit more chutzpah, you could hit Malik Neighbors, and we could get 60 yards.
I will say this. Having rewatched the game today, I don't have Skyview. I'm just watching the game on my TV, okay? But I do have a reverse button, and I can rewatch it. a particular play, and Jaden was throwing the ball to Malik before he was open. He was throwing it to him when he wasn't open. And
That's
most of the time, Malik is catching the ball. In fact, last week against Mississippi State, he caught it every damn time. It's hard to fathom that a fifth-year quarterback who started 5 years is just now learning to trust himself. But I don't know if he's trusting himself or if he's trusting Malik, and he's now starting to trust Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know.
It's a combination of multiple things. This is his 5th year as a starter, and it's the first time in his entire career that not just he's got the same offensive coordinator as last year, which has never happened to him in his career. He's got the same main 2 to 3 wide receivers. I mean, yeah, Keyshawn Bootsy was here last year, but let's be honest, he was second, third option most of the year last year. So you got basically the same targets ahead of you. So this is the first time in his life that this is the second year in a row that he's got the same guys in front of him.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that before, and he also had the same offensive line this year he had last year.
Yeah, same everything.
And speaking of the offensive line, I mean, they were good against Mississippi State. They had some dumb penalties, but they were good. But they were really good Saturday night against Arkansas. They looked to have their way.
So.
I was hoping we could get a film study, but like I said, having rewatched the game, I kind of key on certain people, and then I rewind and I watch the same play and key on somebody else, and they were good. No Lance Hurd. No Lance Hurd. Lance Hurd didn't play.
Yeah, I know. I'm hoping to do a film study again soon, but dude, I haven't had the time.
All right, I'm kind of pissed off that we have talked this much about the offense and it wasn't 100% praise because we haven't even gotten to the defense yet.
Yeah.
The offense, the bottom line is number 1 offense in the SEC. Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the SEC.
Yep.
Malik is the best receiver in the SEC. Brian Thomas Jr. might be the second best. The offensive line is good. The running backs are coming around and are actually really good.
Diggs is top handful in the SEC.
Yeah, so there's not really a whole lot to bitch about, and we just spent a long time bitching about the offense. I'm kind of pissed. All right, so let's move to the defense.
Yep, and here we go. Let's get it, because these guys need an ass chewing.
All right, I put in my notes. Is it scheme or is it personnel? And then I answered myself. I said I think it's a little bit of both. What do you think?
I am going to lean, let's say 60-40. 60% of the problem is scheme. Here's why. Now, again, I am going to do this from the viewpoint of a DB because that's what I did. In high school, let's say 75% of high school DBs play man. Why? Because you don't have the personnel to play zone. In order to play zone, all 11 guys have to be on the exact same page. Not just on the same page, but you have to actually perform what that page says you need to perform. And you know what? In high school, you just don't have the personnel to do that. So now you get into the college level, and now you're talking about elite athletes across the board. If you miss your assignment in zone, it's bad. And right now, our front 7 is okay when we press the issue. But the back 4, I mean, we've seen Zy Alexander, even the plays he's gotten beat, he's had good coverage. So much to the point where some of that shit should be even pass interference. Denver Harris has good coverage. We could play man. We can't play freaking zone to save our lives, dude. Let's just fucking play man and call it a day.
Here's where I am with it. With regards to personnel, all right, we're talking about secondary, mostly. In the secondary, this is an absolute fact, okay? We have a transfer from Marshall, a transfer from Southeastern, transfer from Texas A&M, and a transfer from Georgia, who's been here a couple of years. So we'll just say Major Burns. It doesn't matter if he's a transfer or not. You know what we're missing? We're missing a transfer from Arkansas.
My man Crush.
Yeah, Greg Brooks. That's huge.
Do you recall our preseason podcast when I said that he was the valuable part? He was the guy. We're seeing it now that he's not there.
Exactly. And Brian Kelly, who knows a lot more about football than me or you combined, times 10.
Yeah, definitely.
I listened to him today, and he said regarding the defense, and it sounded so familiar when he said it because it was the same thing he said after the Florida State game. He said, we have guys trying to do other people's jobs. It's the same guys that were doing it in the Florida State game. The plays that drove us crazy Saturday night with a blown coverage, it wasn't a blown coverage, though. We were on it. Zy Alexander was on the guy, like you said. he can cover. But then he looks back and he tries to do somebody else's job. Oh, so let me go tackle this quarter. Oh, wait, he's not past the line and he just threw the ball over my head for a touchdown. Do your job.
I said this on another forum. Someone who may or may not be a guest on one of these podcasts in the future said we don't have the personnel to play man. And I told him, no, it's the exact opposite. We don't have the personnel to play zone. When it comes to zone, all 11 people have to be where they're supposed to be, period. If anyone misses, the entire zone breaks down. If you go back to 2011, which was probably, at least in the discussion, best defenses LSU has ever had. Tyrann Mathieu, who I love to death, the original man crush, the reason man crush exists. The reason Tyrann Mathieu had the season he had was because no matter what happened on any snap, Brandon Taylor was going to be where Brandon Taylor needed to be, period. That allows Tyrann Mathieu to ball hawk and make all of these fucking plays. So everybody talks about plays Tyrann Mathieu makes, and he made a shit ton of them, enough to get invited to New York, but he made them because the guy behind him was where he was supposed to be on every single snap. We're not there right now with personnel. Major Burns, I think, he's a good part back there, but he by himself, Greg Brooks is no longer there. So in my opinion, let Denver Harris and Zy Alexander just straight up play man. If Major Burns, you play deep center field. Whatever happens from there.
All right. I'm going to talk about Major Burns too. But yeah, Zy Alexander, he can cover. He does not have great ball skills. He can be close to a receiver when they catch him, and you can look at it and you say, oh, well, the coverage was there. The other guy just made a great play. Well, you go make a great play. If you're there at the same time as him, he's there, you're there, make the better play.
Yeah, because I'll tell you now, my old DC, and you've seen me put it in chat box, he passed away a couple years ago, so I always put the RIP behind his name. Oh, yeah, he's blessing somebody's soul for that. You're all over the guy. If you're not going to make a play, at least follow the shit out of him. Do something. No reason for him to make that catch.
Right. So that's where I'm at with the personnel. You can say that Denver Harris and Zy Alexander are good enough in coverage to play man, and they are. And I do agree with you that we should be playing man because the damn sure ain't good enough to play zone right now without a Greg Brooks or a Brandon Taylor in there. But the bottom line is the personnel is lacking big time.
Yeah.
I just said bad. We got a transfer from Marshall, a transfer from Southeastern. That in and of itself, that's half of your secondary is playing in the SEC anymore. For the first time.
We are no longer DBU. The best player in your secondary is currently not playing right now, and he's a transfer from Arkansas, and Arkansas is never going to be listed as DBU.
Correct. So personnel is absolutely part of it. With regards to scheme, I'm going 50-50. You went 60-40. I'm close to you. With regards to scheme, though, it has to do with up front because we are limited on the back end with regards to personnel, period.
Yeah,
so the only way you can live like that is to be excellent up front. And we have the players up front. We can't say we're limited with personnel up front. I'm not certain the best players are starting, but that may change according to Brian Kelly in his press conference today.
Not only am I not certain that they're not starting, I am not certain that we're using the people we do have on the field in the proper way.
All right, I was getting there. Let's talk about Mason Smith. I asked Nooch if he was going to do a film study. I wanted him to check and see, is Mason Smith getting double teamed? Is he getting triple teamed? And the fact is, sometimes he is. I rewatched the game, and he's one of the guys that I rewound to go check it out. Yeah, he is sometimes. But even when he's not, and I'm not trying to bash Mason Smith because he would kick my ass. But here's the bottom line. The guy was a 5-star, best player in Louisiana. Okay, came in as a freshman, flashed. But after the game against Arkansas, I think he's around 25 career tackles. Now, granted, he didn't play very much at all last year, just a couple of minutes, actually, before his knee injury. So just throw last year out. But still, in a season and a third, he got 25 tackles.
Yeah.
What? Are we seriously putting the expectations on this kid based on what he did in high school?
You want me to give my comp?
I'm going to give one, and then I don't think it's the same one you're going to give, but I'll go with Travante Valentine.
That is the exact guy I was going with.
Okay. My bad, then. I should have just let you. I stole your thunder. I honestly
Yeah,
thought
I
you
was
were
on
going to go with
Trevante
somebody
Valentine.
else. But yeah,
No, Trevante Valentine was like this fucking unicorn.
I thought you were going to go with Freak Johnson.
No, because Freak actually had a decent career. Freak never did what he was expected to do, but you could look at Freak's career and say, man, that wasn't horrible. No, it wasn't like all-time great, but it was okay. Trevante Valentine, on the other hand, you constantly expected something, and there was nothing there. I couldn't even tell you anything he's ever done in his entire life that was great. Never saw it.
Yeah, and Mason Smith, like I said, he flashed as a freshman, but now he's coming off of significant knee injury, and he's, 6'5", 6'6", 320-pound man. That's going to take him a minute. So a lot of this hopefully has to do with rust that will, through playing time, he'll get better. But the bottom line is, I know this name just drives you crazy, but how about Jordan Jefferson? He looks pretty damn good.
Yeah, he does. I really wish we could name him something else.
Well, we can't. The bottom line is...
Yeah. Why does he have to have 2 9s on his jersey? It's like, couldn't you just put some other number there somewhere, anywhere?
The bottom line is, if I'm the coach or the DC, I'm starting Mekhi Wingo, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm starting Wingo and Jefferson in the middle.
Okay.
I'm starting Savion Jones and Swinson outside. I'm starting Penn, Perkins, and Weeks. There's your front 7, and I'm having Deshaun Womack on standby.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Instead of starting Swinson, why don't you start Womack?
Because he's a true freshman, and I need to see more. I need to see more. That's the only reason, because I've seen Swinson
but I'm lining
enough.
him up as a freak.
He is a freak.
I'm going to line him up as a freak. It's similar role of what B.J. Ojolari was when he first got here with...
How about Harold Perkins last year?
Oh, yeah, Harold Perkins last year, Arden Key before he got fat, Kiki Mingo, those guys. Man, I'm going to just let him roll.
And I don't know, I don't remember, because I don't sit here and you have this incredible ability to remember tiny nuances about shit that happened 10, 20, 30 years ago. And I don't.
Know it's a curse.
I don't have that, and I'm not interested in obtaining that ability, but I don't know that those guys started as true freshmen. I know they played as true freshmen.
But again, and here's the thing about the quote-unquote starting versus playing. Dude, I'm going to put Deshaun Womack in the Kiki Mingo role. 2011. Like, I don't really give a shit about anybody else, and that you're a true freshman. It's like you're the guy in that particular role. And I think Womack could fill that role if we put Perkins in the proper role as well. Like all of that shit, everything relies on everything else. Everyone else has to be where they need to be. You got to have Wingo up in the middle. You know what? Perkins has actually done pretty good, actually, in coverage, but still let Perkins be that outside linebacker guy. Let Weeks play up in the middle. Every now and then he can blitz and be the Ron Landry guy, which allows Womack to be Kiki Mingo, be the fastest guy on the field. Go out there and fuck shit up. That's your job. Fuck shit up.
Well, you just said the magic words, and you basically said the same thing I said. Womack would be on standby. You said every now and then. But the bottom line is, Womack played 5 snaps Saturday night.
Yeah, and dominated.
He had 3 QB pressures, 2 tackles, a sack, and a hurry in 5 snaps. He's a beast. I mean, it's going to be hard, and I said it early on. It's going to be hard to keep him off the field, but he's got to earn his way onto the field. Well, I think you'll see him more and more as you go on, but you got to understand as a coach, as a Brian Kelly or a Matt House, guy like Weeks got in because Spates was hurt. But then he has proven himself now, and I would imagine Spates is going to have a hard time getting back on the field.
I agree. Yeah, you know, he played 5 snaps, and all 5 snaps affected the outcome of the game. So he needs to be on the field, just like last year, just to make it more current, last year in the Ole Miss game. I mean, shit, Lane Kiffin said it point blank. The reason we won the game is because 40 was on the field, which was Harold Perkins. He affects the outcome of the play. Put him on the field.
Most coaches are going to be risk averse, and Brian Kelly certainly. But he is willing to play freshmen more than some coaches, a lot of coaches.
Yeah.
But they've got to earn his trust in a game. And so I see, just like last year with Perkins, you know, fans will sit there and watch and say, oh, he's great, he's great, he's great. We're not at practice. We don't know if he's hitting his assignments. Like a running back, Caleb Jackson, we don't know. Did he fumble in practice? Actually, we do know he did. And if you follow enough sites, you know that he actually did. But they have to earn trust. And Womack is in his 4th game. He got meaningful playing time and made the best of it. And I bet you we see more of him, just like we did with Perkins last year.
I mean, I do care what happens in practice. Obviously, that matters. When you go and watch game film, if he is affecting the outcome of the play just by being there, he needs to be there more often. Okay,
don't you believe he will be?
Yeah, we'll have to see going forward. But yeah.
I mean, I think he will be, so I'm not sure what we're doing here. But, I mean...
I think he will too. But if you look at, let's use Harold Perkins as our example from last year, dude, it took a long time before Harold Perkins was actually always on the field. It was obvious to the rest of us because, well, he's a gamer. Harold Perkins is affecting the outcome of the play when he's on the field. He might not be doing that necessarily in practice, and I think that's where we're at with Womack right now. Womack may not necessarily be doing it in practice, but in the game, he's changing the outcome of the play when he's on the field. Put him on the field. Just like we begged last year to put Perkins on the field, put Womack on the field.
Definitely, because fans definitely know more than coaches. They will. Now that he has shown it in a game.
You just go D-line. It was kind of like a Glenn Dorsey. When Dorsey was out there, things changed. When Chad Lavallee was out there, things changed. He's that guy. Put him on the field because things are just different when he's on the field than when he's not.
I'm proud of you. You only went 20 years back to Lavallee. That was good. All right. That's pre-2005, by the way.
You told me 07 was the farthest back I could go, so I went 03 just to piss you off.
The bottom line is, you're saying the same thing I am, I think, unless you're saying that Womack needs to be starting.
Not necessarily starting because...
Okay, so you're saying the same thing that I just said.
He needs to play.
Womack would be on standby. I'd be starting Wingo and Jefferson in the middle, Jones and Swenson outside, Penn, Perkins, and Weeks rounding out the front 7, Womack on standby. As far as the secondary, I have to trust that Denver Harris and Zy Alexander are the best cornerbacks that give us the best chance to win right now. Otherwise, you got a true freshman, my man crush, Ashton Stamps, and you got LaTerrence Welch. That's what you got.
I'm not opposed to seeing Welch a little bit more.
I'm not opposed to seeing my man crush a little bit more, but I have to trust that the coaches know better than we do. That's the best 2 we got.
I'm going to say this from what I've seen. I think both Harris and both of them are good in man coverage. They really are. But Zy Alexander, dude, you got to have better ball skills than that. I mean, I've seen a couple of games now where you're all over the guy and it's borderline pass interference, and the guy makes the catch.
So what we don't know is Ashton Stamps in that same situation, or LaTerrence Welch, are they going to be all over the guy at all?
You're right. I don't know that. If you're going to be on him, you need to be on him. And I don't know what Welch will do. Don't know what Stamps would do. I'm not opposed to seeing it. Now you're getting into the actual conference schedule, so you can't really just make that change. I would have seen it against Grambling. Let's just see.
Well, they played.
See what LaTerrence Welch can do.
They played against Grambling.
I would have played them early because...
So maybe you might want to reconsider the 60-40 and go to 50-50 because it's 50-50. It's scheme and it's personnel because now let's go to safety. Andre Sam, love the guy's attitude. He flies to the ball.
Love his personality.
He flies to the ball. He'll knock your head off. He'll intercept the ball. But he misses a lot.
I love Sam so much to the point, and we had this discussion in chat, I asked permission to have a interim man crush while waiting for Brooks to come back. And Sam was going to be that guy, and you sniffed out immediately. No one else did, but you sniffed out exactly who I was looking for.
But yeah, he's fun to watch. But he is. He misses. I'm not going to say he misses tackles because if he hits somebody, they're going down. But he misses them completely sometimes because he's too much hair on fire. He's too aggressive. Yeah, I mean his hair's on fire, and I mean he just hauls ass and launches and they stopped running and juked me. Yeah. And then you got Major Burns, and I want to say something good about Major Burns, but I'll save it to the end of this segment here.
Okay, look. I love me some Major Burns. Major Burns he belongs here at LSU. I have nothing negative to say about him. What I'm about to say
do you watch the games?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
I mean, here's what I'm gonna say, and this isn't just because Greg Brooks is my man crush this year. Goddamn, dude, we need that guy back there. Major Burns is who he is. I don't see Major Burns as this stud. Everybody else maybe does, but I don't. I see him as.
I don't know anybody that sees him as a stud. He's
a
liability.
Sees him as what he should have been.
Well, he's a liability.
Put it that way.
I have something good to say about him, but I just said Andre Sam's the best safety we have, and Andre Sam is a transfer from Marshall, which means Major Burns is not as good as he is. Greg Brooks is sorely missed. In my opinion, if Greg Brooks was able to be playing right now, the one who would be odd man out is Major Burns. He's a liability in coverage. He's a liability in coverage.
He is.
The good thing about him that I want to say is it could be argued that he won the game for us Saturday night.
Okay.
You know where I'm going with this?
Because I was hammered by the second half.
Okay, but this happened in the first half. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, which play specifically are we talking?
The one where he knocked the hell out of that tight end at about the 6-inch line and stopped him from scoring. Yeah. It was so close that I thought, man, I hope they don't review this. And then they did show a sideline view, and I'm like, okay, he was a little bit short, but it was inches short from the ball breaking the plane. Arkansas then got a false start, had some negative plays, wound up settling for a field goal. That's 4 points. We won by 3. And it's not the first time he's done that. He did it last year against Alabama in a game that went to overtime. So the only way that this is doable is for the front seven to play out of their minds and play to their capabilities. Have to play out of their minds,
just pressure, and that's on House. That's not on personnel. Put some pressure on the quarterback.
It's on House for sure if he's picking the personnel because, after really 3 games that Mason Smith's been able to play, it's pretty clear to see that he's not as good right now as Jordan Jefferson.
No, he's not. Or even let's just talk Harold Perkins. I thought Harold Perkins did well in coverage. Cool, you got him covering the slot guy, and he did a good job covering the slot guy, but I don't need Harold Perkins covering the slot guy. What I need Harold Perkins doing is making the quarterback shit his own pants and chucking the ball up for grabs so somebody can make a play.
Well, and I think going into Ole Miss week, we're about to play Ole Miss. Go to hell, Ole Miss.
Yeah, go directly to hell.
You're going to see more of that role for Harold Perkins. Maybe you're going to see some more Womack, I imagine. I do think you're going to see more Jordan Jefferson. And
Jesus Christ, this gives me PTSD here.
You need to get over it, man. I mean, Alabama has a guy playing for them named Justin Jefferson. Go figure.
I know. We're going into Ole Miss week, and Jordan Jefferson's our guy, and there's some total PTSD happening right there, though.
Well, I sure hope we see more Jordan Jefferson against Ole Miss.
Jesus Christ. Okay. Yep.
What do you want me to call him, JJ? I mean,
I don't really give
the man's name is Jordan Jefferson.
And his backup is Jay Lee.
I mean, it is comical. But yeah, I mean, he needs to be... We got to come up with a nickname for him so you quit spazzing out in the podcast.
Yeah, it's got to be something other than that. But either way. And
99. We just call him 99.
We need to change his jersey. No,
nope.
He doesn't need to have both 9s.
We're calling him 99.
Okay.
99 needs to play more this week. I mean, he's not going to replace Wingo. So that means Mason Smith. That's hard to say. But really, for me, it's not, because I went into the season thinking, people were freaking out. He couldn't play the first game. I was like, he has 20 career tackles. I mean, what are y'all worried about?
I agree.
Real quick, special teams. You talked about it already. I don't know what the hell you were going off on a tangent about punt returns when they're not even necessary. Special teams. Damian Ramos está bien. Game winner to keep that ugly-ass trophy.
How the hell do you speak more Spanish than me when I'm living in Mexico now?
Because I was in the landscape business.
Okay, good deal.
All right, so we kind of touched on it. Ole Miss coming up at Ole Miss, 5 p.m. Saturday night. Ole Miss coming off a loss. They did not look very good against Alabama.
That's fine.
Judkins and Dart, that's the 2 names from last year. Judkins was a hoss last year. He doesn't look too good this year. Bottom line is Judkins and Dart are both legit problems. Dart, people may not look at him like this, but he's not that dissimilar from KJ Jefferson. Maybe a little bit better throwing the ball, but actually KJ Jefferson has a really high completion percentage that people don't think about. That's who we're playing this week. We need to shore this defense up somehow, and I don't know. I don't think this podcast, Matt House, is going to tune in and say, hey, Fishhead's got a really great idea. We should start these people. But he's got to do something.
Maybe he should.
He's got to do something. They only scored 10 points against Alabama. Perkins needs to have a game like he did last year. And Jaden Daniels just needs to keep doing what Jaden Daniels has been doing, no matter who says what.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, sure, I'd like to see us get the run game going earlier, but I'm liking our offense. I just don't have any complaints against our offense other than if JD is off, run the ball. We're pretty good at it.
Yeah.
LSU heads up to the Grove, playing Ole Miss, 5 p.m. That's a weird starting time. I noticed Doxy on GameDayTigers.com said it was an odd time, and you pointed out, yes, 12, 2, 4, and 6 are even times.
I couldn't pass that off, right?
That is an odd time for a game to start, an LSU game. Usually it's 6, 7, or 2:30, or Jefferson Pilot.
That is, I agree.
But that's when we play. So, hey man, this past game that people are freaking out about, we basically said it in the previous podcast. That 18-point spread is a joke. This is LSU Arkansas. LSU came out with the win, but that's where the but goes. Hey, we won, but we need to shore up our defense. That's the bottom line. Greg Brooks would have liked this game, and he would not like you crushing on another player, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
I did not necessarily crush on another guy. I'm keeping Greg Brooks. Greg Brooks is my guy. I'm not dumping. 3 for 3.
Meanwhile, you're over there checking out Andre Sam.
All I did was look at it.
Y'all come check us out at GameDayTigers.com, www.GameDayTigers.com. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.